We're going to look at when to use cosine law. So we have some triangle, and the first thing you need to know is technically how to label one. So you can call it any letter. This could be X, Y, Z if we really want it, but we've called it ABC just because in most of the laws, those are the letters they use. And whatever angle you're referring to, so if this is angle C, then the opposite side must be side C. That's how we set up all of our formulas. So we have to know how to do that. There's going to be really just two reasons to when you can use cosine law. And it's when you have two measurements and the angle contained. Okay, so if I have this side, and this angle contained, I would use cosine law. And then that goes for this relationship here, and then also this relationship here. Okay, so anytime we have the contained angle of two sides, then we use cosine law. Or if we have one, two, all three sides, which is our second example here. So the second example here, we have all three side measurements, and then that's when you'd use cosine law. Okay, so either a contained angle or all three sides. Otherwise, you're probably using sine law to solve stuff. Okay, so in the first one, we'll kind of go through it. We'll replace our letters here. They've told us that angle A is 61 degrees. Okay, they've told us side B is 3.8, we'll say it's centimeters. 3.8 centimeters. And then side C is 4.5. 4.5 centimeters. Okay. So we've set up that relationship where we have our two side measurements, off, and the angle that's contained. Okay, so we can use that to solve our opposite side A, and then from there we can use more information like sine law to solve for the internal angles, but we're just going to focus on solving the opposite side. Okay, now with cosine law, they give you, there's like many different ways you can write it, but the easiest way to do it is to memorize one of the formulas and just rename the triangle. So the one formula states, actually I'm not going to color code it, I'm just going to leave it, c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2 times a times b times cos c. Okay, and you're either looking for this side here or this angle here. Now, in this one, we're looking for the side, so we're just going to highlight that side there. That's what we're going to be looking for. But we've called it C, and in our triangle, we're actually looking for A. So what we can do is we can just rename the triangle. It's really not that hard to do. We're just going to call side C and angle C. Those are always what we're going to be looking for. So instead of calling this A, I'm just going to call this C. Okay, nothing wrong with doing that. We'll call this C, which means this can be B, but this couldn't be angle C. This would have to be then changed to A. Okay, so I've just renamed it. There's nothing wrong with that again, as long as we, oops, I want to put that in green. As long as we make sure our opposite sides are, like if this is A, that's side A. If that's B, that's side B. This is angle C, that's side C. So now we'll be able to plug into that one formula we know. Okay, so C is our unknown, so we'll leave it as the unknown. C squared is equal to, we renamed A. We call this angle A, which means this is side A. So side A is 4.5 squared plus side B, which is 3.8 squared, minus 2 times 4.5 times 3.8 times cos of angle C, and we rename this to be angle C, so this is now 61 degrees. Okay, and then from here it's just kind of bed mass. We'll go through with our calculator as quickly as we can here. We have 4.5 squared, okay, it's 20.25, so c squared equals, this is 20.25, 3.8 squared is 14.44, so plus 14.44. And this one we're going to do all together here, okay? Think of this when you're multiplying as -2. That's sometimes a mistake. A lot of students will get these two values, then multiply this part, okay, and then do the subtraction. But actually what has to happen is you need to multiply by this cos 61. So in other words, all of this needs to be equated to some either positive or negative value. Okay, so whatever that is, we'll do that all in one shot. So where'd the calculator go? There we go. So think of it like this. Think of that like it's -2. So I'm going to say -2. Is that my negative value? Yeah. Times 4.5 times 3.8 times cos 61. Okay, so we put it all together, we get negative 16.58. So think of it like it's subtract 16.58. Okay, that's what that negative value ends up becoming.
How do I do with this calculator? Because
It'll be in a different order, so I can show you that. 16.58, is that what we said? Yeah. And then from here, it's just kind of bedmass. Again, we'll go through that. We have the values. It was this, 20.25 plus 14.5, and then minus our 16 will allow. Okay, so we have it very exact. So here's our value, 18.1. And its c squared is equal to 18.1. Okay. Now, in order to get c by itself, we got to move this squared value, and when it goes to the other side, it will become a square root. So we're looking for c is equal to the square root of that 18.1. Okay. Luckily, in this calculator, it can be very exact. I can save my old answers. There you go. So our exact value should be about 4.3. So c should equal about 4.3. And let's see if this logically makes sense. Whoops, wrong way. We're saying that this value here, c, is 4.3. Okay. If this is 61, 61 is a pretty big angle. We don't know the measures of the other two. But that would mean angle A is probably just a little bit bigger because it has a longer side. And angle B is probably smaller than both because its opposite side is much smaller. Okay. So that's how you use it to solve for a side of a triangle.